The massive black ship floated in the dark space above the red planet Zephyr Prime. Inside the ship's war room, 12 alien beings sat around a glowing table. Their skin was gray and scaly, and they had 4 arms each. These were the leaders of the Zephyrian Empire, the most powerful force in this part of the galaxy. Admiral Kethvar was the biggest of them all. His tentacles moved slowly as he read the reports on his screen. The tentacles on his head were thick and covered in small spikes. His yellow eyes glowed as he looked at the data about a small blue planet far away. "These humans are becoming a problem," he said in a deep voice that echoed through the metal room. "They have refused our offer 3 times now." Commander Isel stood up from her chair. She was smaller than the Admiral, but much more dangerous. Her 4 arms moved like snakes as she talked. Her species had been fighting for the Empire for over 200 years. She was the leader of the Shadow Legion, the Empire's best killers. "Admiral, let me handle this human problem," she said with confidence in her voice. "My Phantom Dancers have never failed a mission. Not once in 800 worlds." The other commanders around the table nodded. Everyone knew about the Phantom Dancers. They were not normal soldiers. The Empire had changed their bodies with special science. They could become invisible like ghosts. They could move faster than the eye could see. They could talk to each other with their minds across vast distances. Most important of all, they could kill anyone without making a sound. Admiral Kethvar pulled up a holographic image of Earth. The blue and green planet spun slowly above the table. It looked so small and peaceful. Hard to believe such a tiny world would dare to say no to the mighty Empire. "Tell me about their defenses," the Admiral said. Commander Isel smiled, showing her sharp teeth. "Admiral, calling them defenses is too kind. These humans are like children playing with sticks and stones. Their fastest ships can barely leave their own solar system. Our scouts report they still use chemical rockets for most of their space travel." She waved one of her hands and new images appeared. Pictures of human soldiers with simple guns. Pictures of human ships that looked crude and basic compared to Empire technology. "Look at this," she continued. "Their weapons still fire small metal pieces using explosive powder. Their armor is made from simple metals and ceramics. They have no energy shields at all. No plasma weapons. No quantum drives. It is almost sad, really." The Admiral's tentacles curled with amusement. "And their military leaders?" 12 humans sit on something they call the United Earth Defense Council," Isel replied. "They meet in a building made of stone and glass in a place called Geneva. Our intelligence shows they have perhaps 50 guards around the building. The guards carry the same primitive weapons as their regular soldiers." Another commander spoke up. This one had green skin instead of gray. "Commander Isel, are you certain 12 Phantom Dancers are enough? Should we not send a full strike team?" Isel's eyes flashed with anger. "General Thek, are you questioning the abilities of my assassins? 1 Phantom Dancer could kill 100 humans before they even knew what was happening. 12 is more than enough to eliminate their leadership and send a message to the rest of their species." She turned back to the Admiral. "My plan is simple and clean. We send the Phantom Dancers to Earth in a stealth ship. They infiltrate the human building during one of their council meetings. They eliminate all 12 leaders quickly and quietly. Then they arrange the bodies in the traditional warning formation so other worlds will see what happens when anyone refuses the Empire's generous offer." The Admiral's yellow eyes grew brighter. This was how the Empire had conquered 847 worlds in the past 300 years. Find the leaders. Kill the leaders. Install new leaders who would obey. Take the resources. Move on to the next world. It was a system that had never failed. "How long will this mission take?" he asked. "From departure to return, no more than 15 Earth days," Isel answered. "The humans will never even see my dancers coming." The Admiral looked around the table at the other commanders. All of them nodded in agreement. The humans had made their choice. They had been offered the chance to join the Empire peacefully. They could have kept their culture and their way of life. All they had to do was obey Empire laws and provide resources when asked. Instead, they chose to resist. "Very well," Admiral Kethvar said. "Commander Isel, select your 12 best Phantom Dancers. Give them everything they need for this mission. But remember, I want this done cleanly. No orbital bombardment, no massive destruction. We want the human world intact when we take it over." Isel bowed low, her forearms spread wide. "It will be done exactly as you wish, Admiral. The humans will learn what happens when primitive species try to stand against the Empire." The meeting ended, and the commanders filed out of the war room. But Admiral Kethvar stayed behind, looking at the image of Earth that still floated above the table. Something about this mission felt different, though he could not say why. The humans looked weak and primitive, just like hundreds of other species the Empire had conquered. Their technology was centuries behind Empire science. Their weapons were laughable compared to plasma cannons and disruptor beams. But the human response to the Empire's offers had been strange. Most species either accepted immediately or tried to fight with large armies and big weapons. The humans had done neither. They had simply said no, politely but firmly, 3 times. Their messages had been respectful but clear. They did not want to join the Empire, and they would defend their independence if necessary. The Admiral dismissed these thoughts. He had conquered too many worlds to worry about the strange behavior of one primitive species. Commander Issel was right. 12 phantom dancers would be more than enough to solve the human problem. In another part of the great ship, Commander Issel walked through the training areas of the Shadow Legion. Here, her phantom dancers practiced their deadly skills. She watched as they moved through combat exercises, their bodies blurring with speed. She saw them fade from sight as their optical camouflage activated. She observed as they communicated silently through their neural links. These were her children in a way. Each one had been selected as a young warrior, and then transformed through years of painful procedures. Their bones had been replaced with metal alloys stronger than steel. Their muscles had been enhanced with synthetic fibers. Their nervous systems had been modified to process information 10 times faster than normal. Their skin contained millions of tiny cells that could bend light around them, making them invisible to most forms of detection. She selected the 12 best of her 300 phantom dancers. Each one was a perfect killing machine. Each one had completed dozens of successful missions. Together, they represented over 2,000 years of combat experience. As she watched her chosen 12 prepare their equipment, Commander Issel allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. Soon the human problem would be solved. The Empire would have another world to add to its vast collection, and the Phantom Dancers would have another successful mission to add to their perfect record. The humans had no idea what was coming for them. The stealth ship Void's Whisper moved through space like a shadow. It was completely black and absorbed all light that touched it. No radar could detect it. No sensors could see it. The ship used quantum technology that bent space around it, making it invisible to any detection method the Empire knew about. Inside the ship, 12 figures lay in glowing blue pods. These were the Phantom Dancers, the Empire's most deadly assassins. Each pod kept their bodies in perfect condition during the long journey to Earth. Special chemicals flowed through tubes into their bloodstreams, keeping their enhanced muscles and organs working at peak performance. Team leader Zendra was the first to wake up as the ship reached Earth's solar system. Her silver eyes opened slowly and she took a deep breath of the ship's filtered air. She had been asleep for 23 days while the ship traveled across the galaxy. Now it was time to work. She pressed a button on the side of her pod and the blue light faded. The pod opened with a soft hiss and she stepped out. Her body was 7 feet tall and covered in black synthetic skin that looked almost like metal. Every muscle was perfectly formed and stronger than any natural creature could be. The other 11 assassins woke up one by one. They moved with the fluid grace of perfect predators. None of them spoke out loud. They did not need to. Their minds were connected by quantum implants in their brains. They could share thoughts and information instantly across any distance. Chandra walked to the ship's command center and connected her mind to the computer systems. Instantly, she knew everything about their target. Earth was a small blue planet with one moon. It had been broadcasting radio signals into space for about 100 years. The planet had 7 billion humans living on it, but they were divided into many different groups and countries. The mission was simple and clean. Kill the 12 members of the United Earth Defense Council. Leave their bodies arranged in the traditional Zephyrian warning pattern. Record everything for the Admiral. Return home victorious. She studied the building where the humans held their meetings. It was made of white stone and glass, sitting beside a large lake in a place called Geneva, Switzerland. The building looked old and simple compared to Empire architecture. It had no energy shields visible from space, no defense turrets on the roof, no force fields around the perimeter. The human security looked laughable. 50 guards carried primitive kinetic weapons that fired small metal bullets. They wore simple body armor made from ceramic plates and Kevlar fabric. Their communication systems used basic radio frequencies that the phantom dancers could easily monitor and jam. Gendra felt the familiar thrill of an easy hunt. In her 300 years of life, she had killed the leaders of 47 different worlds. Some had been protected by plasma barriers and energy shields. Others had armies of robot defenders. A few had been guarded by creatures with natural armor thick as starship hulls. But none of those defenses had stopped her team. The phantom dancers were too fast, too smart, and too well equipped. They could phase through solid walls using quantum tunneling technology. They could become completely invisible to any form of detection. They could move so fast that enemies died before they even realized they were under attack. The ship moved silently into Earth's atmosphere. It used gravitic repulsors to float without making any sound or heat signature. The humans had some satellites in orbit around their planet, but these were primitive devices that could only see in basic light spectrums. They could not detect quantum stealth fields. Zendra divided her team into 3 groups of 4 assassins each. Alpha Team would approach the target building from the lakeside. The water would hide their approach and give them an easy escape route. Beta Team would use the city's underground tunnels and sewers to get close without being seen. Gamma Team would come from above, using their personal flying units to descend from the clouds. All 3 teams would strike at exactly the same moment. The Human Council was meeting at noon local time to discuss something they called planetary defense initiatives. How amusing. They were planning to defend their planet at the exact moment it was being attacked. Alpha Team moved first. Zendra led them herself, walking across the surface of Lake Geneva like it was solid ground. Their gravitic belts let them ignore gravity and move in any direction they wanted. The lake was calm and peaceful in the morning sunlight. A few small boats floated nearby, but the humans in them could not see the invisible assassins walking past. She could see the target building getting larger as they approached. It really did look pathetically defenseless. Large windows showed the interior rooms. Simple doors marked the main entrances. Basic security cameras turned slowly on their mounts, scanning for threats they could never detect. Beta Team was already in position in the tunnels beneath the city. Team leader Caxmore sent mental updates through the quantum link. The human underground systems were just as primitive as everything else. Simple concrete tunnels carried water and electricity. The humans had no security sensors in their sewers at all. It would be easy to emerge directly under the target building. Gamma Team waited in the clouds above the city. Team leader Veltar reported perfect conditions for aerial insertion. The humans had some military aircraft, but they were all far away from Geneva. The city's air defenses consisted of a few old missile launchers that could never track targets moving as fast as phantom dancers. Yendra felt a moment of disappointment. After traveling across the galaxy, after preparing for weeks, this mission would be over in minutes. The humans would die so quickly they would never understand what killed them. There would be no challenge at all. She reached the shore of the lake and stepped onto the land. Her team moved behind her like deadly shadows. Their optical camouflage was perfect in Earth's environment. Even if a human looked directly at them, they would see nothing but empty air. The target building was only 200 meters away now. She could see heat signatures through the walls showing where the humans were located. 12 bright spots in the main conference room. Those were her targets. 50 smaller signatures scattered throughout the building. Those were the guards and staff who would die if they tried to interfere. Her enhanced senses analyzed everything around her. The air temperature was comfortable. Wind speed was minimal. Background noise from the city would mask any sounds of combat. Everything was perfect for a quick, silent kill. She activated her monomolecular blade. The weapon was made from a single chain of atoms arranged in a perfect cutting edge. It could slice through any known material like it was soft paper. Even the Empire's strongest battle armor could not stop these blades. The other assassins activated their weapons as well. Some carried blades like hers. Others had energy weapons that could disintegrate targets at the molecular level. A few preferred poison darts that would cause instant death through neural shutdown. All 3 teams reported ready for final approach. In 60 seconds, they would breach the building simultaneously. In 90 seconds, all 12 human leaders would be dead. In 2 minutes, they would be heading back to their ship with recorded proof of another perfect mission. Chandra took her first step toward the building. Her foot touched the ground silently, her enhanced muscles coiled with deadly purpose. Her silver eyes focused on the target with predatory intensity. She had no way of knowing that every step she took was being tracked by sensors far more advanced than anything in the Empire's database. She could not detect the scanning beams that analyzed her quantum signature and biological composition. She did not realize that her team's mental communications were being intercepted and decoded in real time. The humans had been watching the Phantom Dancers since the moment their ship entered the solar system. Deep underground in command centers the Empire's intelligence had never discovered, Earth's real defenders were making final preparations of their own. The hunt was about to begin. But the Phantom Dancers were no longer the hunters. 3 miles beneath the city of Geneva, Colonel Sarah Martinez sat in a command center that did not officially exist. The room was carved from solid rock and lined with materials that could block any form of scanning or detection. Dozens of screens showed tactical information from sensors placed throughout the city and far beyond. Sarah was 35 years old but looked older. The stress of preparing Earth's defenses had aged her quickly. Her brown hair was pulled back in a tight military style, and her green eyes never stopped moving as she tracked multiple data streams at once. She had been chosen to lead Earth's most classified military program 3 years ago, when the first alien scout ship was detected entering the solar system. "Colonel, all teams are in position," reported Major Chen through her neural communicator. His voice came directly into her mind through an implant that made the Empire's quantum communication look primitive by comparison. "Phantom Team is ready for contact," Sarah smiled grimly. Phantom Team was humanity's answer to alien supersoldiers. While the Empire had created their assassins through genetic modification and cybernetic enhancement, Earth had taken a different approach. They had recruited the best soldiers, scientists, and tacticians from every nation on Earth. Then they had equipped them with technology that the aliens could never expect. On her main screen, she watched 12 red dots moving toward the conference center building above. Each dot represented one of the alien assassins. Her sensors could track them despite their optical camouflage and stealth technology. Earth scientists had spent 2 years studying the captured scout ship and its advanced systems. They had learned how alien stealth worked, and they had developed countermeasures. "Target designation Alpha Leader is approaching the north wall," reported Lieutenant Park from her position inside the building above. Readings confirm quantum tunneling preparation. Sarah had read the intelligence reports about these Phantom Dancers dozens of times. They could phase through solid matter using quantum field manipulation. They could move faster than human reflexes could track. They had weapons that could cut through any known material. They were supposed to be the perfect killers. But the aliens had made one critical mistake. They had assumed human technology was as primitive as it appeared. They had no idea that Earth's apparent backwardness was carefully planned deception. The first alien assassin reached the north wall of the building. Sarah watched as he activated his monomolecular blade and prepared to phase through what looked like ordinary concrete and steel. She had been waiting for this moment for months. "Contact in 3, 2, 1, she whispered. The alien's blade struck the wall and stopped dead. The assassin pushed harder, confusion flooding through his quantum communication link to his teammates. The wall should have been easy to cut through. Instead, his perfect weapon was completely useless against it. What the alien could not know was that the wall was not made of concrete at all. Earth scientists had developed a new metamaterial that looked like ordinary building material, but was actually composed of quantum-locked carbon lattices. The structure could absorb and redirect any quantum field, making phasing impossible. The material was harder than diamond but appeared completely normal to visual inspection. "Alpha Leader is stuck," Sarah said with satisfaction. "Springing the trap now." A section of the wall rotated silently on hidden pivots. The alien assassin found himself staring into the barrel of a weapon he could not identify. Major Chen stood behind the gun, wearing armor that incorporated technology reverse-engineered from the captured alien scout ship. "Welcome to Earth," Chen said in perfect Zephyrian language. Then he pulled the trigger. The weapon fired a round that accelerated to 30% of light speed before leaving the barrel. The alien's enhanced reflexes were impressive, but they could not dodge something moving that fast. The round struck him center mass and passed completely through his body before burying itself in the ground 50 meters away, and the Phantom Dancer looked down at the perfectly round hole in his chest with something approaching surprise. Then he collapsed. "Alpha Leader is down," Chen reported. "Alpha Team is moving to assist." The other 3 members of Alpha Team rushed toward their fallen leader, their optical camouflage flickering as emotional stress disrupted their systems. They found themselves running into an ambush that had been prepared specifically for them. Earth's defenders rose from concealed positions that had been invisible even to the aliens' enhanced senses. They wore armor that bent light around them, making them as invisible as the phantom dancers. Their weapons hummed with energy signatures that the aliens could not identify. The battle lasted less than 30 seconds. When it was over, all 4 members of Alpha Team lay motionless on the ground around the building. Beta Team is encountering problems, reported Sergeant Williams from the underground monitoring station. They're trapped in Section 7 of the tunnel system. Beta Team had entered Geneva's sewer system expecting to find primitive concrete tunnels with basic drainage systems. Instead, they had discovered that Earth's primitive infrastructure included military-grade defensive networks that had been hidden from orbital observation. The tunnels were lined with the same quantum-blocking metamaterial that had stopped Alpha Team. Automated systems tracked the aliens' quantum signatures and movement patterns. When the 4 assassins reached what their intelligence said should be directly under the target building, they found themselves in a 3-dimensional maze designed specifically to counter their abilities. Team leader Caxmore tried to use his quantum tunneling ability to escape through the tunnel walls. The quantum fields absorbed his phasing attempts and fed the energy back into the tunnel's defensive systems. Emergency lighting activated, filling the tunnels with strobing patterns that disrupted the aliens' optical camouflage. "This is impossible," Caxmore transmitted to his teammates. "Human technology cannot do this." His enhanced senses detected movement in the tunnels ahead and behind them. Human soldiers were moving through passages that had not existed in their intelligence reports. The soldiers wore armor that made no sound as they moved, and carried weapons that registered on spectrums the alien sensors could not identify. Gravity generators activated throughout the tunnel system, creating pockets of increased gravitational force that made the aliens' enhanced strength irrelevant. Their perfect coordination became clumsy stumbling as they fought against forces their bodies had never been designed to handle. Cloud of nanoscale hunter-killer drones filled the tunnels like metallic fog. Each drone was smaller than a grain of sand, but carried enough explosive power to disable alien cybernetics. The swarm moved with collective intelligence, targeting the aliens' enhanced organs and implant systems with surgical precision. Beta Team's quantum communications went silent one by one as their neural implants failed under the nano-drone. "Assault. Gamma Team is requesting immediate extraction," Sarah heard through her headset. "They're under attack by unknown aircraft." High above Geneva, the 4 members of Gamma Team were discovering that Earth's air defenses were not limited to the primitive missile systems shown in their intelligence reports. As they descended from the clouds using their personal flight units, they encountered defensive drones that moved with impossible agility and speed. The drones were not much larger than footballs, but they carried weapons that fired concentrated beams of exotic matter. Each beam could disrupt the quantum fields that powered the aliens' flight systems. One by one, the phantom dancers found themselves falling toward the ground as their gravitic belts failed. Team leader Veltar managed to activate his emergency parachute, but even that became useless as the human drones fired electromagnetic nets that wrapped around him like a spider's web. The nets conducted electrical charges that shut down his cybernetic systems one by one. He crashed into Lake Geneva with a splash that sent water spraying in all directions. Human divers in advanced suits were waiting for him beneath the surface. Before he could orient himself, they had surrounded him with weapons that fired containment fields instead of bullets. "All 3 teams are neutralized," Major Chen reported to Sarah through their neural link. "Total time from first contact to mission completion, 4 minutes and 37 seconds. Sarah nodded, but she felt no satisfaction. This had been too easy. The aliens were supposed to be the Empire's best assassins, but they had fallen into every trap Earth's defenders had prepared. Either the Empire's intelligence was completely wrong about human capabilities, or this had been some kind of test. "Status report on the surviving aliens?" she asked. 11 confirmed dead, Chen replied. 1 survivor from Gamma Team, currently in custody. She appears to be the overall mission leader based on the enhanced cybernetics we're detecting. "Keep her alive," Sarah ordered. "We need to send a message back to the Empire, and she's going to be our messenger." On her screens, Sarah watched as recovery teams collected the bodies of the alien assassins. Each one would be studied carefully. Their technology would be analyzed and reverse-engineered. Their weapons would be tested and improved upon. Their cybernetic implants would reveal secrets about Empire science and capabilities. But most importantly, the survivor would be sent back with proof that Earth was not the primitive world. Zendra woke up in a white room with no windows. The walls looked like they were made from some kind of smooth metal, but when she reached out to touch them, her enhanced senses could not identify the material. Everything in the room was clean and simple. A bed, a chair, a small table with water and food. Her head felt strange and empty. For the first time in 300 years, she could not hear the voices of her teammates through the quantum communication link. The constant background whisper of shared thoughts and tactical data was gone, leaving behind in silence that felt overwhelming. She tried to activate her optical camouflage, but nothing happened. She tried to access her enhanced strength, but her muscles felt weak and slow. She reached for the emergency communicator implanted in her wrist, but found only smooth synthetic skin with no sign that any device had ever been there. The humans had removed all of her cybernetic enhancements. A door opened in the wall where she had not seen any door before. A woman walked in wearing a simple military uniform with no weapons visible. She was smaller than Zendra and looked fragile compared to the assassin's 7-foot frame, but her eyes held a confidence that made Zendra pause. "Hello," the woman said in perfect Zephyrian language. "My name is Colonel Sarah Martinez. I hope you are feeling better." Zendra stood up slowly, testing her balance without her cybernetic inner ear systems. "Where are my team members?" "I'm sorry," Sarah said, and her voice actually sounded genuinely sorry. 11 of your companions died during the mission. You are the only survivor." The words hit Zendra like a physical blow. Impossible. The Phantom Dancers had never lost a single member in over 200 missions. They were the most deadly killers in the Empire. How could primitive humans have defeated them? "You are lying," she said. But even as she spoke, she knew it was not true. The absence of the quantum communication link told her everything she needed to know. If any of her teammates were still alive, she would be able to hear them. Sarah sat down in the chair and gestured for Zendra to sit on the bed. "I know this is difficult to accept. Your intelligence about Earth was completely wrong. We are not the primitive species your empire believes us to be." She pulled out a small device and activated it. Holographic images appeared in the air above the table. Zendra saw her teammates moving through Geneva, approaching their targets. She watched as they encountered defensive systems that should not have existed. She saw them die one by one, defeated by technology they could not understand. "How?" Zendra whispered. "We have been preparing for contact with hostile alien species for over 50 years, Sarah explained. "When your scout ship entered our solar system 3 years ago, we captured it and studied its technology. We learned about quantum stealth, phase tunneling, and neural communication networks. Then we developed countermeasures. The holographic display changed to show Earth's real defensive capabilities. Hidden sensor networks that could track quantum signatures across the entire solar system. Weapons that fired projectiles at significant fractions of light speed. Metamaterials that could block any form of phasing or tunneling. Defensive drones with artificial intelligence more advanced than anything in the Empire's databases. Your species is remarkable at hiding its true abilities," Sarah continued. "We broadcast primitive radio signals to make ourselves look backward. We use chemical rockets for most of our space travel to appear technologically limited. We make our cities and buildings look simple and defenseless. But underneath, we have been building the most sophisticated planetary defense network in this part of the galaxy." Zendra stared at the display showing Earth's hidden technology. It was impossible to believe, but the evidence was right in front of her. The humans had not just detected the Phantom Dancers. They had been ready for them with specific countermeasures designed to neutralize every advantage the assassins possessed. "Why did you let me live?" she asked. Sarah's expression became serious. "Because we need someone to deliver a message to your empire. We could have killed all 12 of you without any difficulty. We chose to show mercy to demonstrate that Earth has no hostile intentions toward the Zephyrian Empire. But we will not be conquered." She stood up and walked to the wall, which became transparent to show a view of Earth from orbit. Cities sparkled with lights across the planet's surface. Orbital stations that had been invisible to Empire sensors were now clearly visible, bristling with defensive weapons and sensor arrays. "We know your empire has conquered 847 worlds using the same method," Sarah said. "Send assassins to kill the leadership. Install puppet governments. Extract resources. But Earth will not be world number 848. The door opened again, and two humans in simple clothing entered carrying equipment. They set up what looked like a recording device on the table and activated it. "We would like you to record a message for Admiral Kethvar," Sarah said. "Tell him exactly what happened here. Tell him that Earth's defensive capabilities are far beyond what his intelligence reports indicated. Tell him that any future military action against our planet will be met with responses proportional to the threat presented." Zendra looked at the recording device, then back at Sarah. "And if I refuse? Then we will send your body back with the others and let the Admiral draw his own conclusions," Sarah replied calmly. "But I think a living witness would be more convincing than a dead one." For several minutes, Zendra said nothing. She had been trained to die before revealing Empire secrets or showing weakness to enemies. But these humans had not acted like enemies. They had defeated the Phantom Dancers completely. But they had chosen mercy instead of total destruction. They had removed her cybernetic enhancements. But they had treated her injuries and made sure she was comfortable. Most confusing of all, they were asking her to carry a message of restraint rather than surrender. They were not demanding that Earth be left alone forever. They were simply stating that conquest would not be as easy as the Empire expected. "What happened to my companions' bodies?" she asked. "They have been preserved in stasis and will be returned to your Empire along with you," Sarah answered. "We have analyzed their cybernetic systems and genetic modifications for our own research, but the bodies have been treated with respect." Zendra made her decision. She looked directly into the recording device and began to speak in formal Zephyrian military language. "Admiral Kethvar, I am Team Leader Zendra of the Phantom Dancers. My mission to eliminate the human leadership has failed completely. All members of my team are dead except myself. I was captured alive and am being returned to make this report." She paused, gathering her thoughts. "Our intelligence about human capabilities was completely incorrect. Their defensive technology is far more advanced than our databases indicated. They were prepared for our arrival and had developed specific countermeasures for all of our enhanced abilities." The recording device captured every word as she described the mission in detail. How the quantum tunneling had failed against their metamaterial walls. How their optical camouflage had been useless against human sensors. How their enhanced speed and strength had been neutralized by gravity manipulation and nanodrone swarms. The humans demonstrated military capabilities equal to or exceeding Empire. Technology in multiple areas, she continued, but they chose to show restraint. They could have destroyed our stealth ship and killed all of us without difficulty. Instead, they eliminated only those who posed an immediate threat and preserved one witness to carry this message. She looked directly at Sarah, who nodded encouragingly. "The humans request that the Empire reconsider its approach to Earth. They have no hostile intentions toward the Zephyrian Empire, but they will not submit to conquest. They ask that future diplomatic contact be conducted through proper channels rather than military action." When the recording was finished, Sarah walked her to a transport ship that would carry her back to the Void's Whisper, waiting in orbit. The ship was clearly human-made but incorporated design elements that showed they had thoroughly understood and improved upon Empire technology. "There is one more thing," Sarah said as they walked. "We have prepared detailed technical analyses of your team's equipment and capabilities. These will be included with the bodies we are returning. We want your Empire to understand exactly how thoroughly we were prepared for this encounter." Zendra stopped walking. "You are giving the Empire intelligence about your own defensive capabilities?" Sarah smiled. "We are giving the Empire enough information to understand that attacking Earth would be much more costly than they anticipated. Sometimes the best way to avoid a war is to make sure your enemy knows exactly how powerful you are." As the transport ship lifted off toward the hidden stealth vessel in orbit, Zendra looked down at the Earth through the small porthole. The blue and green planet looked just as peaceful as it had in the Empire's intelligence reports. But now she knew the truth. Humanity had turned their entire world into a fortress and hidden it so well that the Empire's best scouts had seen nothing but a primitive civilization with basic technology. The humans had been preparing for war while appearing to prepare for peace. The message she carried back to Admiral Kethvar would change everything. The Empire would have to choose. Find a new way to deal with humanity, or face the consequences of fighting an enemy that had been planning for this conflict. Admiral Kethvar stood in the cargo bay of the great battleship, staring at 12 containers that had just been delivered by the Void's whisper. His tentacles moved slowly with barely controlled rage as he read the manifest data on his portable screen. This was not what he had expected to receive. The containers were made from some unknown human material that looked simple, but registered as incredibly strong on the ship's scanners. Each one was perfectly sealed and temperature-controlled. Each one bore writing in both Zephyrian script and human languages, with detailed labels describing the contents. "Open the first container," he commanded. The ship's technical crew used cutting tools to break the seals. Inside, they found the body of Zekmor, one of the Phantom Dancers from Alpha Team. But this was not simply a corpse returned by respectful enemies. The body had been processed with surgical precision that exceeded anything in Empire medical databases. Every cybernetic implant had been carefully removed and catalogued. The genetic modifications that had made Zekmor superhuman had been mapped and analyzed in detail. His enhanced organs had been studied and their functions documented with scientific accuracy that impressed even the Admiral's own medical experts. "Admiral," said the ship's chief medical officer, "look at this documentation." She held up a data pad that had been included with the body. It contained a complete analysis of Zekmor's capabilities, written in flawless Zephyrian technical language. The humans had not just killed the Phantom Dancer, they had completely understood him. They knew exactly how his enhanced muscles worked, how his quantum communication implants functioned, how his optical camouflage operated. More disturbing still, the analysis included detailed countermeasures that Earth scientists had developed for each enhancement. Specific frequencies that could disrupt neural implants, electromagnetic patterns that would neutralize optical camouflage, gravitational fields that could overcome enhanced strength. Admiral Kethvar opened container after container, finding the same thorough analysis with each body. The humans had not just defeated the Phantom Dancers, they had dissected them like scientific specimens and documented everything they learned. "Where is team leader Zendra?" he asked. Commander Isel, who had been standing silently beside the containers, pointed to a different area of the cargo bay. "She is alive, Admiral." The humans returned her separately with a recorded message. They found Zendra sitting in a meditation pose inside a special containment unit that kept her alive but unable to move. When the container opened, she looked up at Admiral Kethvar with eyes that held something he had never seen in a Phantom Dancer before: uncertainty. "Report," he commanded. Zendra stood slowly. Without her cybernetic enhancements, she looked smaller and weaker than the Admiral remembered. Her perfect assassin's confidence was gone, replaced by the careful movements of someone who had learned to respect her enemies. "Admiral, the mission was a complete failure," she said. "Human defensive capabilities exceed our intelligence estimates by several orders of magnitude. They were prepared for our arrival and had developed specific countermeasures for all of our enhanced abilities." She activated a recording device that the humans had provided. Admiral Kethvar watched in growing shock as holographic images showed the Phantom Dancers being defeated with ease by human defenders. The assassins who had never failed a mission in 800 worlds were eliminated in less than 5 minutes, by an enemy they could not even detect properly. "This is impossible," Commander Isel whispered. "Our intelligence showed primitive technology. Basic weapons. Simple defenses." Zendra shook her head. "The humans have been deliberately hiding their true capabilities for decades. They appear primitive because they want to appear primitive. Their real technology is more advanced than ours in many areas." The recording continued, showing Earth's hidden defensive networks. Orbital weapons platforms that had been invisible to Empire sensors. Underground command centers carved from solid rock and lined with materials that could block any form of scanning. Metamaterial walls that could absorb quantum fields and redirect energy attacks. Admiral Kethvar's tentacles coiled tightly around his command staff as he watched humanity's true capabilities being revealed. This changed everything. Earth was not a helpless world waiting to be conquered. It was a fortress that had been preparing for war while pretending to be peaceful. "Show me their message," he commanded. The hologram changed to show a middle-aged human woman in military uniform. She stood in what appeared to be a simple office. But the Admiral now knew better than to trust appearances when dealing with humans. "Admiral Kethvar," the woman said in perfect Zephyrian language. "I am Colonel Sarah Martinez, speaking for the United Earth Defense Council. We have received your ultimatum and chosen to decline membership in your empire." Her voice was calm and pleasant, as if she were discussing weather rather than defying the most powerful military force in the galaxy. "We are returning your assassins as a demonstration that Earth is capable of defending itself. We harbor no hostile intentions toward the Zephyrian Empire, but we will not be conquered. Any future military action against Earth will be met with responses proportional to the threat presented." The hologram paused, and the human woman's expression became more serious. "We know that your empire has conquered 847 worlds using similar methods. We understand that you expected Earth to become world number 848. This will not happen. We suggest that future diplomatic contact be conducted through proper channels rather than military action." The recording ended, leaving the cargo bay in complete silence. Admiral Kethavar stared at the space where the hologram had been, his mind racing through the implications of what he had just witnessed. For 300 years, the Empire had used the same conquest strategy. Send scouts to assess military capabilities, send assassins to eliminate leadership, install puppet governments, extract resources. It had worked perfectly on 847 different worlds with 847 different species, but the humans had turned that strategy against them. They had allowed the scout ship to observe their primitive technology while hiding their real capabilities. They had prepared countermeasures specifically designed to defeat Phantom Dancers. They had been ready for the assassination attempt before it even began. Worse still, they had chosen to show mercy rather than total victory. They could have destroyed the Void's Whisper and killed everyone aboard. They could have launched a counterstrike against Empire territory. Instead, they had eliminated only the immediate threat and sent back a polite but firm message of deterrence. "Admiral," Commander Isel said quietly, "what are your orders?" Admiral Kethavar looked around the cargo bay at the containers holding his most elite warriors. Each one represented years of training, genetic modification, and cybernetic enhancement. Each one had cost the Empire enormous resources to create, and the humans had defeated all of them while barely revealing their true military capabilities. "Recall all military vessels from Earth's solar system," he ordered. "Send no more scout ships. Make no more reconnaissance flights." "Sir?" Isel looked confused. "Are we abandoning the conquest?" The Admiral's yellow eyes grew bright with calculation. "The humans have taught us something valuable today, Commander. They have shown us the difference between appearing weak and being weak. They have demonstrated that the most dangerous enemies are often the ones who look harmless." He walked to the main display screen and pulled up star charts showing Empire territory. 847 conquered worlds appeared as green dots scattered across the galaxy. Earth appeared as a single red dot on the edge of Empire space. "Send a message to the War Council," he continued. "Recommend that Earth be classified as a protected world. No military action, no conquest attempts, no interference with human affairs." Commander Isel's forearms moved in confusion. "Admiral, the Empire has never designated a protected world based on military deterrence. The Council will demand to know why." Admiral Kethavar smiled, showing his sharp teeth. "Because, Commander, the humans have done something no other species has accomplished in 300 years of Empire expansion. They have made conquest more expensive than cooperation." He gestured to the containers holding the Phantom Dancers. "Do you know how much it cost the Empire to create and train these assassins? Each one represents an investment worth more than the total resources we extract from most conquered worlds. The humans destroyed all 12 in minutes and sent them back with detailed analyses of our capabilities. The implications were clear. If Earth could defeat the Empire's best assassins so easily, how many ships would be needed for a full military conquest? How many soldiers would die? How much would it cost in resources and time? The humans are not just militarily capable," the Admiral continued. "They are strategically intelligent. They have turned our own conquest method into a demonstration of why conquest would be unprofitable. They have made cooperation the logical choice without appearing to threaten us." Over the next several hours, Admiral Kethavar composed his report to the War Council. He included all the technical analyses the humans had provided. He attached the complete recordings of the failed assassination attempt. He recommended that Earth